Right, today I'm going to be talking to John Wines. John, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. You?
Good to see you. It's been a bit of a while, because
Yes,
hasn't it?
it has.
But,
that's been a while.
Yeah. So, traditional first question is, what do you do?
Teach guitar, mate. Bit of bass, bit of ukulele, which is quite popular nowadays. Obviously, the uke. I think we all got into that a few years ago, didn't we? Probably about 10 years ago, actually. Come to think of it. But yeah, what do I do? Yeah, I do that. 3 schools, a private practice, and now social media, which is probably even taking more blooming hours than than the teaching, if I'm honest, because it just don't stop anymore. It's gone mad, as you well know.
Yes, yeah. We're going to be talking about that, obviously. But, so let's go back a little bit. So,
yeah.
Have you always taught guitar? Is that what you've always done?
No. I'm an electrician by trade, and I fell into teaching via another. Well, I think we've probably been through this before, but a long time ago. And I used to run some projects for the youth service on music. It was all voluntary. And we used to do what we call a rock lab weekend, where we get like up to 50 or 60 kids in, put them in bands on the Saturday. They just turn up singularly. Sometimes they come as bands. Then we tutor them throughout the weekend, and then on Sunday night they do the gig in the main hall in front of their parents and friends and what have you, which was great. Obviously, I had to pull in external teachers, which I did. I've been played in bands for years, so I knew plenty of them. Pulled in one guy who I kind of knew. We were both on the circuit, and it was just at the time when I think it was that week I'd been made redundant from the place that I was working for. The guy was just shutting down the business because he was retiring, and that was it. And I was just talking over lunch on the Sunday, and he said, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "Well, get another job, And he said, "Well, have you ever thought about teaching?" I said, "No," because although I'd done a bit for the youth service, I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. My theory knowledge was zero. I think it was probably less than zero, if I'm honest. I could play, but I played by ear. So, as a lot of people do. So yeah, and he said, "Well, look, I'll give you a hand if you want to take a shot at it." And luckily, talking to the youth service, the guy who was running the club said, "Look, okay, what we can do is this. I'll give you 12 hours a week. We'll do group lessons here." It didn't pay an awful lot, but it was enough to just get me going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That then led to him introducing me to a pupil referral unit. And then we started doing them during the day. And I'm still there 18 years later. I thought, well, this could be year 19. I'm not sure now. And then obviously I went and did my grades and what have you, because I wanted to do them because I didn't know any theory, and it made sure I learnt it. So,
yes, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. That was the thing, and I kind of that's the attitude that I took. I need to learn this. There's only one way I'm going to really learn it, is to do that. And then obviously I went through up to 8 and then did my teaching diploma. And I'm still at the schools that I've been at for 14 years as the last one, I think. So, it just came reasonably quickly, obviously private and as you know, the social media side of it now. But yeah, so I fell into teaching.
How long had you been playing though? Before that?
I didn't, oh crikey. So probably 20 years or so, just over 20 years. Yeah. So yeah, I've been playing, I played in bands, So
yeah.
That was fine. But I didn't, I didn't know anything, if you know what I mean. I played by ear, and that
yeah. But of course, you play by ear, so that
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the interesting points that the guitar, well, particularly the guitar, you can be a fabulous player and really not know any theory at all.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
And you know, that's not really a problem. And obviously, I've always found that, and again, this is great for guitar. It's all about enthusiasm.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
And if you fire kids' enthusiasm,
yeah,
then there's that thing of trying to keep up with the pupil.
Yeah.
Because you can't know it all, can you?
Oh, no. And I'll tell you now, and the analogy I always use, you know what? Someone once said to me, I taught this guy who's Russ, and I taught him from the age of, he came into one of the group lessons. He was 11, I think, at the time. You know, he probably knew G and C, that was it. And something happened, which I found out that he did his grade 1 and what have you, and he passed like they all did, distinction, what have you. And I never really thought any more of it. And then the woman in the office at the youth service, she'd said to me, do you know his background, Ross? I haven't got a clue, like. And anyway, I'm not going to go into his personal side of it and what have you. But what he did proved to me that, crikey, this guy is really serious about learning. And so therefore I took him under my wing. And so many things have happened. I mean, we're still great friends. I'm great friends with his family and everything still. They'll come around for a meal over Christmas. It was great. He's now teaching music in Sweden. He's about to go on tour, do something with some rapper. I don't know. I can't remember the name, to be honest with you. But, you know, and he's a fabulous player. By the time he was 18, he was whipping me, no question. And someone said to me once, that must really annoy you. And I said, what? No, I said, you've got to be joking. I'm making me feel so proud. And actual fact, when he was 18, he was invited to play with Joe Bonamassa at the Big.
Yes, yeah.
You remember that? And, you know, and like, proudest night of my life. No question. In actual fact, when he opened the taps and started really giving it some, I literally collapsed on the floor. And I'll be honest about that. I did, because I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And it was, how he did that, I just don't know. I'd have been a mess. Well, I was a mess. And I was on stage, but we were in the guitar pit. You know, just watching it. How he did it, I don't know. But yeah, fabulous player. But yeah, I don't get that. Some people say that. And
well, I think that comes from a perspective of people always feeling that, I mean, the art of teaching is to get the person to become better than you. Because really it's about them. Because you know, it's not about. I've just had a conversation with somebody today. Actually, you know, when you're learning, you don't want to be somebody else. You want to be you.
Yeah.
And of course, once you do that, and it's a case of people discovering themselves, then they could easily become better players, because they become themselves. Not, you know, they certainly don't want to be you, and they certainly don't want to be anybody else. But a lot of teaching, of course, is like that now, isn't it? It's like, oh, you're going to learn this solo by so and so. It's like, well, yeah, but he's already done that solo, so why bother? Let's steal all of his ideas, and then, you know, you know, it's I just find it quite fascinating.
Yeah, some people, you just wonder, really.
So that comes, I think that comes from that sort of attitude about, ooh, you know, but that must be so difficult if they're better. No, that's great.
No, it's magic.
It is.
It's great. I mean, and he's not the only one. There's others, you know, that are out there doing it far better than I am. They got time to practice.
Yeah.
I'm getting slow. They're getting faster, you know. But but it's great to see. I love it. I you know, to me, it's just, you know, one of the greatest parts of teaching is to see someone do well. Now, that doesn't mean to say that they've gone off and got a brilliant job or gone and played with Joe Bonamassa at the Big. They might just have gone down the local Red Lion and done their first gig.
Yes, exactly.
Off going, oh, yeah, and that's great. Or they just passed their exam.
Yeah.
Same thing. If that kid, you know, as you know, got that feeling from doing something, achieving something.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what level it is.
No.
But as long as it helps them, that's all that matters.
Yes, it is. I totally agree with you, John. I mean, you know, because we were talking before press record about, you know, the sort of non-profit thing that I do, where I
Yes.
just go into school and get some kids to learn a bit of guitar and write songs.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, I get the kids to teach the next bunch of kids coming in on board.
Right.
So it becomes this sort of thing of like they're now the teachers. You know, I'm controlling it in a way, but
Yes.
they're doing, and their kids are like 10 or 11, right?
Yeah.
And obviously they've been ones that maybe didn't have a great start in life, you know.
Well, yeah.
So that's the point.
Ah.
It's all about that, and it's all about this thing of building self-esteem and stuff.
Yeah.
Because again, I was going to say to you, if you go back to your beginnings of playing guitar, it's about identity, isn't it? It was about identity.
Yeah, I just...
Why did you play the guitar? Why, tell me, how did you start?
Well, yeah, that was kind of interesting. I fell into it. I fell into everything I've done in my life. Not always good, I might have. I shared a flat with a couple of guys, really. One who lived there permanently and one who, was just as well there permanently. And they both played. So, funnily enough, weirdly, he was sat in my sofa last night. Was it last night? No, Thursday night. And his daughter and her friend have come up. And I've just literally given their first lesson this week. So it's just,
it goes round, doesn't it?
He's still a good friend. So like they played, and it was like, are we going down the pub? Well, no, I've got to do this. All right, okay. Maybe I should have a go. Now I did, funnily enough, as a young kid, get a guitar. I know it was pre-senior school. That's all I can remember. And the only thing I do remember, it was an old acoustic with, cheese grater action that I still remember taking to school. And even the teachers couldn't play it. I mean, it's hard to get a bad one now, Vic. You know that.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. Totally true.
They are still, there's one or two companies that...
Yeah, but generally speaking, they're pretty good, aren't they?
They're pretty good. So, but I never got any encouragement to do that because I didn't come. Funny enough, my grandparents were musical, but my parents not at all. You'd lucky if you had the radio on. So it's kind of strange. It skipped a generation, but they lived quite a way away. So I didn't, although I spent holidays with them, which was great. But one played an accordion, which I've now got up here, which I've got back from the family this year, or that last year, sorry, which was absolutely fantastic. It's great to have my old grandfather's things here. And my gran used to play the piano, but that didn't interest me, But so I never took it up. But as well as I do, the opportunities are much, much better nowadays. Thankfully they're better. So it kind of skipped a load of years, but I didn't. And you get into people, and when you're 18, 19, you want to go out and see bands. We used to love going to see bands. And funny enough, we were telling his daughter, it was real hardship because we used to have to go to the pub and watch a band and try and see what they did.
Yes.
Then come back and try and replicate it.
Yeah.
Now, YouTube, 5 seconds, and you've got 30 people who are going to tell you how to do it, which is great. Not that it was maybe that much of a hardship that we had to go to the pub, but but that's the way we learn. That's
exactly, totally, yeah.
Or with record players, the voltage was always up and down. Yeah. So we had to tune our guitars to the blooming record player that day and try and work out things by ear.
Yes, yeah.
That's kind of missing nowadays.
Yes, it is, and that of course that means to say that players' ears aren't as good as...
I don't think so. Some are. Don't get me wrong.
No, but generally speaking,
and I had a situation years ago at one of the schools, and I try and promote a bit of ear training. Like, right, okay, let's do this song, but let's not go to the guitar tab site. And I said to him, look, why don't you just take this? Don't look online. Try and work it out. He said, yeah, but that's quicker for me. I said, all right, then, okay. So what happens then if that tab is wrong? And you know as well as I do, invariably they are wrong, okay? And he said, well, go to another tab site. I thought, no. And I thought, yeah, I'm wasting my time here. You know, they're not all like that, but you know, it's a bit, the one thing that annoys me in teaching a little bit. Well, that annoys me. I try and get them out of it. Is they always say, right, what's the strumming pattern?
Yeah, oh God.
Do you get that as well? It's like,
Yeah. In fact, what I find is the worst is when you actually see people do that online, and it's like, well, it's down, up, down, down, up, and it just
yeah, I don't like that.
It's so unmusical. You think,
yeah,
oh my God, that's not the way that music develops. It's about what's it feel like, what's it sound like, you know, and understand what happens if you just play one beat in a bar, you know, the first beat of the bar. What's that feel like? And then when you put another, what does that do? And learn about the feeling that rhythms create. And then after a while, of course, you can hear a rhythm and play it. And
that's it. That's it. I mean, you get that all the time. And I just say, right, okay, I'm going to play this song, and I'll play 6 different rivers. I said, which one was it? Oh, I don't know. I said, did they all work? Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
Go and look at that. Listen to that record on the track, and then go and watch a live version.
Yeah.
Invariably, they will be messing around with it.
Yeah, because they will. Totally.
On with that, you know. So try and you can't have everything landed on a plate sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Not everyone, but there is. I think
no, but there is a general sort of thing of that. You know, it's like a default setting.
It is default set. Well, tell me what to do. That's your job. Well, I'd rather you found out your own way, but I'll guide you, because that to me is what a teacher does.
Yeah.
You know, I've taught, like we said, I've taught people that are much better than me. Well, Andy Murray's coach is nowhere near as good as Andy Murray. You know, so you don't have to be better, but you just give ideas, and that's the way I look at it.
No, that's absolutely right. I totally agree with you, because, you know, as a teacher's point of view, it's, you know, somebody said to me once, it's like rock climbing, right? You go, okay, here's the map, here's the plan, this is what you're going to do. I've been there. I'm not going up there again. It's your turn, right? And it's that type of idea of you know, giving people guidance. Yeah. But they've got to find their own way. They've got to.
You have to, really. Funnily enough, just this week, one of the schools I work with, the music teacher there, who came in 11, 12 years ago, is brilliant. He's a muso. You know, he's out there gigging, you know, and what have you, which is great. And he's given them songs to learn for concerts that's coming up. But he said, different style. So there you go. There's your song. I want to hear a different version of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Got to think. You know. Yeah. But what worries me slightly, and I work with a drum teacher a few days a week. It was great, and I've learned so much from drummers and drum teachers and the way they teach rhythms, which I find absolutely fascinating. It's been invaluable to me. And it's like, the one thing that does concern me sometimes is that, you know, that some of them are only playing that instrument because it's a subject, and maybe they continue after school. I think it's the minority.
Yeah, and I think actually, and it's something that doesn't happen so much with guitar, is it? But because, you know, if you looked at, because obviously I've taught in a lot of places where lots of classical instruments, and you know that the only reason these kids are learning cello is because that's what grandma wants you to do,
right?
You know, which I think is unfortunate, you know. But there's nothing against classical instruments or anything.
No.
But generally speaking, the guitar is because they want to play the guitar. You know. So I think that's when you get it. Then it's a subject, because they've got to do. I don't know. They've got to do an instrument for. Or a second instrument, maybe.
Yeah.
Then maybe their heart's not in it so much.
Yeah. I'd say it's the minority, but it does happen. And you think, but then, you know, I'm looking at it, I'm biased, and of course I'm biased. I could never stop playing. You know, even if what's happened has not happened, I'd still be doing it. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's just kind of weird. I find that a bit strange. But, you know, there you go. That's all it is.
So, okay, so, you know, you've been playing in bands and stuff, and obviously you made your connections. So there was a couple of things you were saying about the that sort of not a council-led thing, but you know what I mean, like an arts
Yes,
grant thing,
service,
whatever it was.
when we had one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When it was relevant,
Yeah.
and there was money floating around.
Yeah.
It sounds actually a similar format to what I do with Blues Camp,
Right.
in Tunbridge. You know, we get people joining bands and stuff, but we give them all the tricks of the trade as much as we can.
Yeah.
And then they do a concert at the end.
Great.
And it's sort of quite an immersive experience. And I think what's interesting about that is that people have a lot of misconceptions, don't they, about what it is to be a musician, what it is to be in a band, and what it is like. You know, people often have this idea, they sort of almost look in awe. And you think, no, they're just ordinary people. They just happen to play the guitar, right?
Even the top names, most of them are just ordinary people.
Absolutely ordinary people. And I've always found that fascinating when you say to people, and sometimes those guys, they're really, really good at doing that stuff that you hear them doing. But if you say to them, oh, could you, because you assume that they could play all sorts of things, and they go, no, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't play that sort of stuff.
Well,
or I can't play that.
Yeah.
Because I just can't get my head around what's going on with that, right? And that always fascinates me, because people assume that they can actually do the whole lot. And you go, no.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't. I mean, think of Gilmour on Is There Anybody Out There? On that classical piece. He publicly said, I didn't play it. He said, I could play it with a pick, but I couldn't play it with my fingers. And I'm not a fingerstyle guitarist. So he pulled in a classical guitarist and he did it. This is Gilmour. And I thought, what? And then you think, well, yeah, but he's right. You can't do everything.
No, you can't do everything.
So diverse.
Yeah, because that's the interesting thing about the guitar. It is so diverse, isn't it?
Unbelievable. And it is, and it's fashionable. Things go in fashions, and at the moment, it's going shred crazy again. I see it all the time. It's on social media now. They're all trying to outdo each other with the speed thing. Yeah. Good luck.
Exactly.
My days of that are numbered. No, they're not numbered. They're gone.
Yeah.
They are gone.
So we're gonna tiptoe into, or stick a toe into the water of social media now.
Yeah, I fell into that.
Yes. So tell me the story, because now.
Oh gosh.
Of course, you're working under a name. You're working under a pseudonym. So tell me what it is.
Right. Yeah, it's the Old Grey Guitarist.
Right. As in the old grey whistle test, I'm assuming, is it?
Well, no, yes.
Oh, yes and no. Right.
No connection to that whatsoever. Right. What happened, and literally I've only just found this out by going back through the very first videos that I did, and then that triggered a memory, because I always thought, why did I do this? Because I set it up 15, 16 months ago. I got trouble remembering what I had for breakfast this morning, which is really unnerving, because I have the same every morning. So to remember about that, and I always thought, and the basic premise was that I didn't want the kids at school to find me on social media, because it was we're all on whatever, Facebook or whatever, but they're private accounts, and that's it. But I wanted to be public, because I wanted to teach on there and just mess around. So, but I didn't want them finding me, because I thought they would really take, the rise out of me and what have you. Because it's, especially TikTok, it's known as a young people's thing.
So why TikTok?
Well, TikTok, it was on my phone.
Because it was on your phone. That's it.
Yeah, it was. I was already posting improvisations and a few lessons to, like, the Stratocaster group or the Telecaster group on Facebook or whatever. Just improvs, occasional lesson. And it was like, well, I'm already doing that. What's this TikTok thing? Well, it's videos, isn't it? Yeah, all right then. So I chucked it out, and for 10 months, you'd get 10 or 20 more followers or 50 followers a week. I wasn't, and I might go 2 weeks without posting or whatever. It was only really when I had time and and what have you. And then after sort of 10 months or 11 months or whatever it was, I don't know, I thought, do you know what? I always do improvs. What do I do? Set solo. What do I know? Oh, blimey. Because we all know, or have to remember, especially when you get to my age. And I did all right now because I love that solo anyway. I just love it. It's just great fun to play. I think it's one of those songs that you can't improvise over. No. You'll improvise over 90% of your set. You will not improvise over that.
I totally agree.
It's
Kossoff got it right the first time round. Yeah,
you can't. You'll never beat it ever. Perfect. So I thought, I'll do that. And after 2 or 3 days, it had done like, I don't know, 300,000 views or whatever, but far more, 4 times what anything else I'd ever done was. I thought, oh, I'm a bit thick with social media, and I thought, oh, well, I guess that's what people want then. All right, okay. What am I going to do now? Hotel California. Again, you can't beat what they did. And they were clever. They were worked out. They weren't improvised.
Oh, yeah, no, they were worked out, definitely. Yeah. It's
Be the Berkeley, for goodness sake, So, and again, perfection. So I'd recorded both the solos in the afternoon, just having me tea, thinking, what else can I do? What do people know? Bohemian Rhapsody. And do you know what? I'd never played that. I think I taught it, but when you taught it and you got the music, you split it down into bits. So you're not necessarily playing the whole thing, are you? So I thought I'll go down and do that. That'd be a good one. So I went down. I just quickly learned it. Put it out. It was on a Friday night. In 2 hours, it had done, I think, if I remember rightly, 224 views. And I thought, oh, right, okay, then perhaps they don't know it. By the time I got into bed, it was 1,500, something like that. In the morning, it was slightly different. It was over 200,000. I thought, what's going on here? And you literally would just refresh, and there's another 10,000. And then my followers were going, what? And then I started getting messages from ex-students saying, I've just seen you on TikTok. What? On this thing called For You page, which I'd never even heard of, and everything's suddenly going crazy. By lunchtime, it had done 1 million. By the end of the day, it had done 3.4 million, I think. I don't know what it's on now, 9 or something. I got no idea. So it just went crazy. And then the next day, I put out Hotel California, the one, and that went viral straight away. And then the next day, the next one went viral. So I literally had 3 days, 3 viral videos, and it just went mad, and has continued to go sort of crazy ever since. But not everything does.
No.
It's very fickle. It really is. It's a very young audience. Brian May seems to do probably anything he's played on better than overall anyone else. And I would say that definitely. Same with Martin Offler. They know the big classics, even down to Guns N' Roses. Slash does really well, and it's great fun doing. I love Slash anyway. So they do quite well. But if you've got a track that like I did, Night Train, which is my favourite track off the album, right, and didn't do much at all. But then I don't think they know that. They know Sweet Child, which obviously went completely crazy. So it's. You never know what's going to happen. You don't. And I try and cover so many different styles and so many different things. I've just literally this morning done something by Two Door Cinema Club. And I don't think I've ever even heard one of their songs before. If I'm honest, no one's ever asked me for it. So, if they don't ask me for it, I don't actively seek this stuff out. So, you never know. You just never know what's going to go well on that.
So how many followers have you got now?
I think it's just about 1.2 million. It's 1.2 million. And you think, well, you're going to get hundreds of thousands of views. No, not at all. No. Not at all. Some will only do 10 or 20,000. Some will do 100,000. Some will do 21 million. It does keep growing, though. That's the good thing about that. People do actively on TikTok go back through your past catalogue.
But they're shorts, aren't they? So they're only short.
Generally speaking, I've got some longer videos on there. The teaching ones, some of them are quite long. So, but even with the teaching ones, what I learned then was, if you've got a 9-minute lesson, you're better off splitting it up into 3 parts and doing part 1, 2, and 3, because I mean, when TikTok started, I believe it was only 15-second clips.
Yeah.
And they reckon that 8 was probably enough. People go, and you know, which is a bit perturbing in a way, but you know, that's the way it is, and it still is to a degree, but not as, you know, much as that. You know, people like the soda, they'll sit and watch the whole thing, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, so it's I'm still finding my feet on with it, really, but yeah, I mean, it's been good for me. Well, obviously, you know, that's what sort of set the ball rolling with everything else. Luckily, Instagram during December, because I never started that until probably late October, and that's such a different audience, Vic. So different. I mean, funnily enough, one demographic, USA and South America, 60% of my followership, and it's the same with TikTok. Yep, it's the same with TikTok. I've probably got 7% in the UK, so that remains the same. But the age range doesn't. It's up to 25 on TikTok, and then it drops right away. Whereas that's where Instagram starts and then goes up to 45, 55, and that's where most of my followers are on that. You know, so, and that went crazy over December, really. And it's still rising by quite a lot. And I think we're just coming up about 128,000 on that, which for Instagram is actually very good. But most of them are musicians as well.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, most of them, I would say, are musicians.
Right.
You know, I don't know if that's statistically right, but compared to TikTok, 100%, you know, they are a lot more, you know, into their music, and they know all about the stuff, that's for sure, rather than, I've heard this on the radio or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, they are much more musicians, I would say.
That's interesting. It's fascinating. So how's that changed what you're doing work-wise, or has it not? Is it just...
Well, no, I continue to work. It makes me laugh because, you know, everyone's saying, oh, yeah, you won't be here in 3 months. No, I will be. You know, and the amount of times I've heard, well, my mate, he's on TikTok and he's only got 250,000 followers and he's earning £1,500 a month. Yeah, really? Ask him how, will you? And you never get an answer, mate.
No, I know. Because, see, when I got...
Oh, it talks, it really is.
When I started... doing the podcast and stuff, this was in the days when it was actually really difficult to record it, because you'd have to use some other thing like Pamela or something, and then, you know, it never quite worked properly.
Right, okay.
And it was really quite difficult to do. And then now, obviously, it's straightforward. You can record off Zoom, you can record off this.
Right, yes.
And you know, and it's easy to sort of put it all together.
Yeah.
And obviously the format that I use is just a conversation. So, you know, I'm not trying to do anything fancy with video or anything like that. And I do this because it interests me.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered really about how much it interests other people. If people want to discover about how somebody's done something, because obviously in conversation, it comes up, then they have to sit and watch the video or sit and listen to the podcast, you know, and it's as simple as that. So mine is much more old school. But in the early days, when you got those early vloggers,
right,
and particularly down in Brighton, there were about 3 or 4 of them that were making a lot of money. But they were making money because it was about makeup.
Oh, right.
Right, and they were making off the back end of it, you know. If they were saying, I'm using this eyeliner by whoever it is, you know, they could sell the eyeliner.
Yeah.
They weren't carrying stock.
Right.
You could click on the link and it would take you to the thing, and then it was drop shipped from somewhere.
Right, yes.
So they had that all sorted.
Yeah.
And this idea of, you know, when people started going, oh, yeah, but you can make the money on adverts. No, you can't.
No, it's
No, you can't.
It's yeah. I mean, I'm literally just dipping my toe into this now because ever since the music radar thing went out, I have been approached by so many agencies you would not believe.
Well, that's the way. That's the way.
Now they know what they're doing. I've had one Zoom call with a guy in London. I'm not sure if they deal with musicians, but I don't know. He's going to go away and see because I've been offered to promote vacuum cleaners. I'm not going to do that.
Well, that's interesting. How does that work?
That's what I put in the email back to the bloke, and I never heard nothing back. Strangely, because it's going car loans. Look, it's music, okay? It's music. I will not promote anything that I don't use or I don't want to use. I'm not going to say, this is brilliant, this, and it's a load of rubbish. I'm not going to do that. I will not do. I'm too old. It's not about the money for me, you know. Now it would be nice to earn a little bit because trust me, it's cost me a lot of money. You know, in time, you know.
Yeah, of course it will. Yeah.
I've got a list of people wanting lessons, which I can't touch because I have to do all this, and that's fine. So if something comes to that, then great, but it's got to be music related. Has to be. I mean, I'm lucky that I'm working with, I've literally last night signed a deal with Daddario. So I now have an artist account with them. Okay, they've been looking after me for months. You know, you're just like, can I have such and such? Yeah, no worries, we'll just send it. But now we've got, but as part of that, the first thing I made sure was, listen, I work in schools. They've always looked after me. Can we do something for the schools? Yeah, no problem. Fine, I want to work with them. Well, I use their products anyway, but you know, so that's kind of good. So that's saving me money, it is. And I've been working with Black Star as well. Haven't got a formal deal with them at the moment, but we're just going to see what happens.
Yeah, so those sort of things. And the other one is when you get, and this is probably where the Hoover thing comes in, actually, but I don't quite know exactly. But years ago, I used to teach a guy who worked for Mathers and Ogilvy Mathers. So they were the big advertising agency. Right. So Ian Ogilvy was sort of a marketing guru, you know, basically. He used to do adverts for things like Rolls Royce and stuff. And this guy said, because I was talking to him about sponsorship, and I was only, I don't know, 20 or something.
Right.
And he said the trick is, you know, because if you're interested in music, you'd think to yourself, well, I'll go to Fender or I'll go to whatever, right? He said, but they won't be interested.
No.
He said the trick is to find out who shares your market.
Right.
So, for instance, you know, if you're the people who buy Fender guitars are also buying BMWs, then BMW might be the place, you see. So you get this sort of sideways step, right? Okay. And that's probably what is going through the minds of some people. You know, who's your target market? Well, you know, it's not so much the kids who listen to the TikTok; it's their parents. Right. And they might be the ones who are into buying Dyson Hoovers or something. So that's the thinking I'm gathering, you know. Yeah. But the reason that's been quite important is that when we've looked at certain musicians, you know, like kids that I've taught that become musicians, and then there's been some sort of management thing going on with them. That was one of those things that I said to them, you know, that's the viewpoint that you should have. And it was actually Adele's guitarist before he started working with Adele. And he had this fabulous sort of Django Reinhardt type Stefan Grappelli thing going, right? And he was only like 18, 19. So I said, well, look, you know, what you've got is a traditional sound. You know, you've got this sort of jazz, swing jazz thing, you know, hot club of Paris type of thing going. So, you know, the idea is to look for a traditional product that is looking for a new spin for a new. So we come out with things like, you know, Jaguar and whiskey companies.
Oh, right.
And there was actually somebody got interested, and then he said, well, look, I want to put that on a back burner because I've got this urban soul singer that you know, is a mate of mine who I want to, you know, give it a shot, and of course that turned out to be Adele.
Right.
But it's that type of thinking. And again, I don't know, that might be of use to you. I don't know. In all of this, you might find that something.
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, this is where I need help, because this is a world that I am not used to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I also know that I ain't wet behind the ears.
No, exactly.
I know.
Yeah.
There's odd chances out there, mate. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I'll do this for you. You start saying that, you're going to put me right off.
Yeah.
You
well,
know,
it's like that thing about playing the gig because there's going to be an A&R man.
Oh, yeah.
We all heard that one.
I wonder if I may have heard that once or twice. Yeah. You do it for exposure? No.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah, I don't know. I've got, I don't know, another 3 agencies that, and one that's been recommended to me. So, you know, the trouble is as well, they know your worth because, let's be honest, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the avenue of revenue is. I've got no idea. That's what your job, and you take 20%. Great. You've just got me 300% more than I'd have asked for. So, you know, that's fine. I don't care. So let's see what I mean, I've always said, since the day I hit, everyone said, you're going to do this, that, and the other. I said, I don't think I'll gross $1. And although the only thing like I said, I'm lucky I've got the Daddario deal and about stuff on Black Star, and you know, that Blue Lava company sent me one of those. You've seen those acoustics? These ones?
Oh no, I haven't. That's really cool.
Well, yeah, it's a small body, so it's like a acoustic, only it's not, because you do this and then suddenly it's like delay.
Oh, that's cool. What are they called? Blue Lava?
Yeah, and there's a chorus and reverb built in.
That's cool.
And I thought it'd be a bit of a gimmick, but do you know what? I love it. You know, it's
that's good. That's the result, mate.
Yeah, and I thought, but you know, it doesn't cost me anything. I'll have a go. Do you know what? And I'll tell you what, I took it to all 3 schools. Every single student said, "Oh man, that's cool." Every single one. And I thought, well, actually, it's all right, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if you then sort of passed on the emails, or you know, the email link or whatever, you might be able to pick up a few sales or something.
Yeah, I've not got that.
Because that is what these vloggers were doing. That's the type of thing they were doing.
Yeah. You know, I just used it in one of the all they said was, can you just use it in one of your videos? And I said, yeah, all right then. So I did it in a tuition one, and I will use it again. But in the summer, where I see that being really cool is going out into the countryside and, you know, with a singer, and just because, you know, otherwise it sounds a bit dry, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does.
But that suddenly doesn't. So you could, and so I'm kind of looking forward to that. And I've got a student and possibly another old student, singers that I work with at the PIU, and I've done an open mic with one of them. I know her dad really well now, and she's a wonderful voice, and it's so I want to do some stuff with her, and that'd be great, you know. I'm looking forward to that. So, but it needs to stop raining first.
Yes, of course it does. Yeah. Yeah. It's not big. Yeah, exactly. Well, I was talking to somebody this morning. It was in Australia because they've either been under flood or whatever. But she said, "Oh no, it's changed now. It's bushfires." So it goes from one extreme to another. So,
it's their summer, isn't it? You know, lovely country. I love Australia. Only went once, but fabulous. You know, I really love it. So so I don't know what's going to happen. You know, one of these agencies, I'm sure, will, know what to do. But like I say, look, can we just make this about music? Because I think you can soon alienate people.
You can, and again, you've only got, when you listen to podcasts and they have to go through their spiel about this podcast has been sponsored by,
Yeah.
and it's the people talking about mental health issues when you know that the people running the podcasts haven't got mental health issues.
Yeah.
You have got.
It happened. I was lucky. I hit lucky. So I just want to continue and just take it slowly. And I want to keep teaching, Vic.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean to say I might not want to slow down a little bit. And possibly that could happen. That wouldn't be a bad thing. But it's got to be financially viable to do that, especially at the moment. Yeah. Because you know what it's like in schools. You're all on 0 hours. You don't know when budgets get cut. And, I think where we are, we're pretty safe, I would suggest. But it only takes something to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And that's the thing, because when I used to run those things with the RGT about, making a living out of music, one of the points was always about having lots of pillars of stuff.
Yeah.
So you've got, and some of those things could be on the back burner, but at some point you might have to return to doing that type of thing, playing a gig at a particular type of place in a residency or something or other, or coming back and doing more teaching or whatever. So that it's not, you don't become a one-trick pony because it becomes very sort of tricky.
Yeah,
and maybe that's the thing, maybe that's the lesson, with the social media thing, that, if you're getting that sort of exposure in a way that, okay, as you're saying, a lot of it's not in the UK, it's somewhere else.
Yeah, it is. It's mainly in America and South America.
Yeah.
South America was the first one to hit. Why? I have no idea. But they're very much into their music over there, aren't they?
Yes, they are. But, I think it's interesting that it should be maybe you're exotic to them.
I don't know. I will give you a laugh. And this just goes to show my ignorance and my lack of, I might add, intelligence. I had a meeting yesterday that I'd set up with some app that it's about backing tracks. Well, I don't think it's going to be the thing for me, but I thought I'd try it. I had the meeting scheduled and it come up, and I thought, why's it come up at 2:00? I'm still teaching. And then I realised that Brazil is 3 hours behind and not 5.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Underneath America, so it's got to be 5, hasn't it? No, it's a bit further over. Oh no! So quick email. I'm really sorry. I think I've made a mistake here. Can we make it a couple of hours time when I'm home? Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, because that is the thing. Once you're dealing with, because I get this with podcasts occasionally when I'm interviewing somebody in America. It's trying to get your head around the time differences.
Just check.
Yeah, and sometimes it's almost impossible to schedule something.
Yeah, yes, it is actually, especially if they're on the West Coast. They're over California or something. It's 8 hours, isn't it? It is. We're just finishing and they're just starting, so there is a window there if they can do it before they go to work or whatever. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, well, it's brilliant. So, what do you see? What do you see as the future then, John?
This time next year, Rodney. Right.
I know.
I'll still be where I am. Yeah. I'll still have a free will there. Like I say, I have no idea. I'm fed up of second guessing what's going to go on.
I know. I'm provoking.
Yeah, I know. I just don't know because, like I say, I go into schools. Oh, you won't be here next year. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Because, it's, I love what I do. Okay, and I really do. It's very diverse what I do. And there's certain elements of it that I wouldn't want to give up no matter what. Because it's kind of, I just enjoy it. There's one school I go to, mate, where the kids, they've got an edge. All right, they remind me of where I went to school. It is a deprived area.
Yeah, but it's got a bit of something. Yeah.
Of course, it's not deprived, but there are pockets.
Yeah.
And there are pockets, and that's in a pocket. And like I say, the music teacher there is just great. It's known as a music school. We've got the Andrew Lloyd Webber thing now there, the MIST thing, Music in Secondary School Trust, they're running now, which is really good. So we're building up an orchestra as well. I've nothing to do with that, crikey. Yeah, that's not my own classical.
You're rock and roll, man.
Yeah, I'm rock and roll. I take care of the contemporary stuff, which is really good. And I really wouldn't want to leave there because I actually enjoy it. Like I say, the kids there, they just got that edge. They're cheeky, but you can have a laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
They remind me of me when I was their age.
Yeah.
And it's very relaxed.
Yeah.
And they're keen. And honestly, mate, honestly, and I will tell you this because, every teacher's got a million stories of funny things that they can tell you. All right. But one happened last year. Was it last year? No, 2 years ago. It was when she was in year 7. And I got this girl, and obviously I won't mention any names, and she's great, but she's a character, shall we say? All right, really funny. You never know what she's going to say next. Heart of gold, total heart of gold. And we've got, and we was just having a lesson there one day, and in the rack of guitars they built. Don't ask me why. Many years ago, they'd had a kit guitar with 2 necks, the 12-6. All right. He said, "Sir, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can. What's up?" He said, "That guitar with the 2 necks, is that just for Siamese twins?" Oh, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's what you're dealing with there.
Yeah, that's good.
And I can handle that. I can handle because I can have a really, really, really good laugh with them.
Yeah.
There are some good characters there, and some good musicians as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they don't have to be virtuosos.
No.
As long as they're enjoying it.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And do you know that I think that gets even more important as you get older when you're teaching, when you see that, because you realise that you can have a massive beneficial effect with people like that.
You can, yeah.
Because they're not trying to be something, they're naturally getting something out of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
they're loving it. Listen, mate, you know as well as I do, some of those kids are only in school because of music. They are only there. It's the only thing that gets them in the door in the morning.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Yes.
Because I've got music today.
Yes. Yeah, I've got.
and unfortunately, maybe sometimes the hierarchy in charge, don't realise that. I'm up in London and what have you. They don't. I don't think there's ever. What the Welsh government have done, as you probably know, they've given. They brought in legislation which has given every school kid the opportunity to have 1 free musical instrument lesson a week. Fabulous, mate. Fabulous. Can't we do that here? Seriously, I mean, I honestly, mate, I'm not going to give up on this. No. There are certain things that are happening and what have you, and certain ideas that I've got to try and maybe get the ball rolling on this. I'm probably beating my head against a brick wall, probably. The biggest problem you've got is I think it's going to take 2 or 3 years to look at their statistics to say, well, actually, when we brought this in, suddenly our attendance went up. Suddenly our other subjects went up. I don't know. I'm not biased, am I? But I would love that. And it's, I just think it's such a great idea. That school that I love working at, I forget how much they pay, but they massively subsidise it because they see that worth. Now, it's obviously proved itself, hasn't it?
Yes.
So why can't we do it? Why can't we do it?
Wow.
Well, yeah, I know. I know.
Same old thing, isn't it, mate?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah. But you never know. You never know one day, maybe, you know, you just need the right person really who sees the worth in it, and we can do it. You know, I think it's self-generative too, because if you get people into music, not only that, you're bringing in teachers, so therefore, like me and you, all right, so then they're paying tax, and then those guys go out and buy instruments and they're paying tax on that. So I mean, in my simple mathematics brain, which is rubbish,
no, this is the way it works.
I think that it's self-generative. In the long term, don't know. I don't know. No. Look, interesting to see how many studies there are. And I know the Dario are doing, they've got, in America, they work in deprived areas where they are helping with instruments and what have you there, which is great. Apparently, hopefully it's going to come over to Europe, you know, and I've said, look, I'll give my time. I don't care. You know, if I can help in any way on my platforms, then I will do, no question. And there's another charity I've got a meeting with in a couple of weeks. It's a charity here. I think they're based in London, and they are finding, going into deprived areas and finding the talent there. And then helping them out that way. So I think that's great. So again, I'd like to be involved in that. You know, so I'm hoping something's going to happen there. I really would. I think you've got to give something back, Vic. I really.
Yes, I totally agree with you, John. Yeah, totally.
I am really. You know, I think I've been lucky to have a platform. If I can help some out, then you know, then great. If I, you know, that's it. Just try. That's all you can do in it, really. You know.
Totally.
But, you know, it doesn't matter. It's enjoyable work, though, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's good fun. It's good fun. All right. Well, mate, that was great. It's brilliant. We've been nattering on for nearly an hour, which is good.
That's it. Oh, blimey. Oh, crikey. Yeah. There we go.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll put some things in the show notes. I mean, you might like just to say what your TikTok handle is.
Yeah, well, it's the same as Instagram and YouTube. You just search out Old Grey Guitarist, as in one word, but I think if you separate the words, it would probably come up as well. You know, and that's it. You know, if anyone's out there and they want to give us a follow, then it's great. Or watch the videos, give us some ideas of what to do next. And I get plenty of them. You know, and it's, can you play Cliffs of Dover? Oh, not again.
Yeah,
No, 30 years ago, maybe I'd have spent weeks learning it. I haven't got that speed anymore. I don't think I ever had that speed, if I'm honest. But, you know, it does make me, you know, and then you do get things, I've never even heard of that band.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of the same things do come up, you know, so you just think, oh, well, there you go, do it, you know, because you forget about a lot of things, don't you?
Of course you do.
You do, you know, it's like I've just done a few Tears for Fears things, you know, and Songs from the Big Chair was always one of my favourite albums back in the 80s, but you don't hear it, so you kind of forget about it. So then people start asking for it. Great, it's great fun. Interesting stuff as well, how they approach their stuff. Very different, very different. Not as easy. Not as easy as I first thought either.
No.
There was a lot of takes on some of that.
That's good. Brilliant stuff. But, all right then, John. So I'll let you know when it's out. But look after yourself.
And you, mate. All right. Okay. Take care. And I'll see you soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers.
Okay, Vic. Cheers. Bye.